Welcome to the Coffee Bar Stories,
A DTZ Entertainment Presentation.
hosted by Dad and Son. Welcome to the Coffee Bar Stories, episode 16. And in today's episode, Dad's going to tell us some stories about his best friend Rick. So, you want to take that off, Dad?
All right, there, son. Rick is one of the closest friends I had. He knows a lot about me and everything. We've done a lot together. We met working together years and years ago. At work, we both did the same job together, so we were partners, and that's how we got close as friends, because we had to pull this stuff together. You know, the job, we worked together and got things done so quick and efficiently. Neither one of us work there anymore. This place we worked at together a long time ago.
Oh, okay.
You know, working there with Rick was always a blast with him. He covered my ass more times than I care to count. Well, I've gotten away with more things at work because of him. Like, he had this rule. He said, you get away with anything in here by two methods. One, if you're on foot, having a piece of paper in your hand, or two, if you're on a forklift, get a skid and drive with it. They'll think you're out doing something, you know.
Yeah.
Because the place we work, forklift operators, we're all over the place there, you know. So it wasn't uncommon for us to be out in the parking lot or in the back or wherever, you know, dumping trash, doing whatever we have to do for the job.
Yeah.
And stuff. Me and Rick used to go out to dump trash and stuff. And that's when we take our little extra breaks between break times. We'd sit out there and I'd smoke a joint, and he'd watch out for anybody, you know, and he'd sit there and smoke a cigarette because he didn't smoke back then.
Yeah.
And he'd have his cigarette, and we'd be bullshitting about everything under the sun and stuff. People would always be like, when they roll up on us, all of a sudden I'd just come out, especially if I'm just starting to smoke on it and shit, and I've been waiting all day for this, and somebody come rolling out, and he'd be like, hey, put it down, put it down. I'm like, oh, mother. And Rick's like, you could see it on his face. Oh, shit, he's going to come out and be mean. You know, because I'm like between skids or whatever's out there, you know, hiding behind shit. And this poor person would just roll up to ask a question if, hey, do you guys have this out here or whatever? I come out going, what the fuck do you need? Just screaming, you know, because they're interrupting us, you know, because a lot of times they'll ask us to bring it to them, you know.
Yeah.
And I'd come out yelling at these poor guys, and Rick be like, man, it's over there somewhere. Just go on, dude. You're good.
Just go look for it.
Yeah, you know. They'd be like, oh, thanks, man, thanks. You know, and they go away, and he'd just look at me. I go back to it, and he'd be like, man, you got a temper. And I'm like, no, it's all, you know, because by the time he brings it up, he'd wait till I'm like 5, 6, 7 hits deep into my doob, and I'd start, he can tell I'm starting, okay, he's mellow now. It's cool. Then we'd sit out there. If a radio call came, we'd go answer it or whatever. But with us, we had to run to the place, too. Nobody questioned anything we did. He was a good friend. He always watched out for him. I never had a bad word for Rick. Like, when I was saving money and stuff to move you guys down and stuff after I had to move for a job, he was the one that helped me save the money. I'd hand it to him. At the time, I didn't have a bank account, and I knew me and the money. I'd spend it if I had it.
Yeah.
And with that, he knew the rules and everything. And, you know, if I asked, he'd just tell me, and that'd be the end of it. You ain't gonna suffer. You know, you want to borrow $20, I'll give you $20, but you ain't taking money that you're telling me to save.
Yeah.
And I'm very, very grateful to this day. We wouldn't be here in this, you know, podcast area down in the coffee bar if it wasn't for him, really. To him, I give him great thanks. You know, that's why I want him to know that, you know, he's probably one of the most heavily influenced person in my life that got me to where I am at this point. Get that drive that, yes, I want this, and this at home. No, that you can make it. That's what, you know, he never tried to talk you out of your goals and stuff. Like, if you're wanting reasonable, you know, now, you know, I want to own the world or something. Okay, yeah, he gonna try to talk you down.
Think a little reasonable.
Yeah, come down to world. But as far as information, yeah, if I don't know, I'll find it. He'd tell you that. If I don't know, I'll find out for you, and I'll make sure it's good information. Oh, I love that, you know, especially when you're trying to, you know, move up from renting to owning, getting cars and whatnot. He was a big help with a lot of that, finding out good information, things so you didn't get taken to the bank and lose every dime you had. And the way we worked together, we got so good, we could hand material off to each other on our forks without getting off or setting it down, and the other one had to pick it back up and stuff like that. Like, if you're running product around a building, we could do that without missing a beat, never colliding into each other. We had our jobs down cold. Like, he would always say, we created fuck off time. That was the greatest thing about Rick. He would tell you, man, it's time for us to create some fuck off time. He'd be running around, we'd get a bunch of things done up in a hurry, and then we'd go out and have a cigarette and chill and do whatever we wanted to do.
There you go. Work smarter, not harder.
Yeah, hide from everybody. Where we worked, there's quite a few jackasses there. It's hard to explain. They just jackasses, all levels of it. So, you know, we just, instead of battling with them and fighting and feuding and stuff, we just did what we had to do and then got away from them fast as possible and stayed away when we could, you know.
Yeah.
That's what I liked about it with him. He made it a lot easier to work, too. He's a hell of a worker. I'll give it to him. Me and him, we had probably trained to do how to do the job, not to drive the forklift, to do the job.
Yeah.
These guys are supposed to know to drive, how to drive one. We're just showing them, you know, the protocols, what you do.
Okay.
We had this guy. Oh, my God. I called him Guido because he just was constantly something. What he did, he could drive a forklift. He knew how to. But what he had done is he drove, like, squared out skids from truck to truck, what they call a transfer station for semis and stuff, you know, where they transfer product into a holding hub that moves it into whatever trucks are heading to that destination.
Yeah.
And stuff. They just gather them up for just different areas. It's a distribution center. And that's what he did. And he tells me and Rick, he got fired, all right?
Okay.
From this place. And this will explain what it exactly is. Him and I guess 4 or 5 other guys there, they were doing the same thing he does. This is when plasma TVs first started coming out. They took, I think they were 40-inch plasma TVs. Every one of them stole a plasma TV off one of these trucks. They unloaded and had a pallet's worth of them. And they took, you know, I guess the top layer or whatever off.
Wow.
And this shows you how smart this guy is. Not one of them. They all just considered their job's gone. They didn't bother coming back, doing nothing. He brings his TV back thinking they're cut him a break.
Oh, dude.
Never mind, he loaded it up in his car, brought it back. This is why we call him Guido. He's not bright at all. It's like you don't bring it back and expect your job.
Yeah.
You either go just keep it and X that job out, or you show up and pretend you didn't do nothing wrong. But they got you on camera, man. I'm surprised charges weren't brought. Why he wasn't charged or nothing, but he ended up working for us. Well, we drive stuff that are not all squared out on skids. They hang over and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You got to know what you're doing. Be careful. Well, this idiot, he picks up the wrong material for one, comes blazing down. It's a full rack of stuff he's got. As he's coming, there's a steel girder off to his right.
Oh, God.
Normally, you just buzz by it. But with this, it hangs over. It's going to catch. He comes up and catches that corner of this bulk item and spins it right off onto the floor. There's the big boss out there. There's a supervisor out there. There's a lead guy out there. All at one area where he did this at. They can see him at the corner where it happens, right?
Oh, he screwed up.
Oh, my God. And they come... Because I happened to be in charge of the guys that drove forklift at the time. He comes, he's like, I don't know what happened. I hear just screaming, oh, what happened? And I'm looking, and they look at me, and they're like, you need to go over there and talk to your boy. And I'm like, wait a minute, he ain't my boy. You guys hired him. I didn't hire him.
I mean, this was your idea.
Yeah, you know, this guy's Guido. He's an idiot. I walk over, and I'm like, what the hell are you doing? How the hell did you hit this pole? You know, and no answer. And I'm just so mad. I'm like, Rick, get over here and pick it up and put it away. You know, while I'm screaming, I'm all mad. And Rick does it. He's laughing. And not even 20 minutes later, I hear a crash. I look over, because me and Rick are putting away some material that came in off a truck we had unloaded.
Yeah.
We're putting it away. I look over. He dropped a whole pallet's worth of these parts that we had got.
Oh, man.
Everywhere. And the way it had fell, I guess it had bounced a little bit, but he was had the forks tilted real bad. What way he was driving it, it just was wrong.
Oh.
It had bounced or something, and they all went forward on him. And then instead of stopping immediately, he rolled probably over 7, 8, 10 of them as he went before he stopped, and people were yelling at him. Yeah. 20 minutes later, I looked at Rick and I told him, I said, I'm going to kill this guy. This guy, because it was one thing, even when he first started, he was bumping into things and knocking into things.
So basically not watching where he was going.
Exactly. And not real skilled at forklifting in the environment we're in.
Yeah.
At all. No concept of things. He didn't get it. It was over his head. It was just over his head for what we do.
Mm-hmm.
This is not his atmosphere. We went to our boss, I don't know how many times. You got to get rid of it. I mean, in the beginning, we're just telling them, and, I don't think the guy's going to work out type deal. And as a couple months go by, we're telling him you need to fire him for a couple months. Our supervisor loved to screw with us. He was such a jackass like that. Like, he thought it was funny because how mad we get, so he kept him on. That's what he would do. He wasn't
anything to piss you off.
Yeah, he wasn't a very good boss, man. He didn't really care. We got away with so much, doing whatever we wanted, and it was just it was like, dude, you gotta get rid of him. It wasn't until this new machine they had bought, they had just got these things they put on it from the new machine, and the guy's driving, bam, messes him up, and was gonna keep going. Just keep driving, and he gets stopped by a different supervisor of another department. Like, hey, you need to go. And then finally, this old dude catches our supervisor screaming at him. He's in our department, telling him, if you don't fire him right now, we're walking off. And the whole crew started to walk, and he went and fired him. And best part about it is, they go to fire this guy. He refused to leave the building.
Oh,
you
man.
can't fire me. I'm not fired. If I don't leave the building, I'm not fired.
I don't think that's how that works.
Now I'll tell you, our supervisor, he's a 6'6",
Don't like a brick
290,
shit house?
300 big man.
Oh, definitely.
yeah,
don't
you're
like
not.
A brick shit
You're
house.
not pushing him around at all. And he had to walk him out. And I was like, oh my God. I'm thinking to myself, I hope this guy don't come back, try to do something ignorant. I don't
come back and expect his job. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to break it.
I told Rick, that's why I said, come back, like, do something stupid and hurt us or something. He goes, no, man, that guy come back with anything, end up tripping and hurt him damn self. And I was like, oh, you're probably right, Rick.
Definitely.
I have to agree with John on that. Then we had the ones that think they figured the game out of the job, how to hide out, not do no work type deal. We've had those guys. And me and Rick didn't put up with a lot. That was one thing that me and Rick didn't like about the guy in charge at the time, was that if something annoyed us, he'd keep it up with it.
Oh.
Never mind that he relied on us for every damn thing under the sun, and we always pulled off miracles and did what we had to do. He would still screw with us to the end. He's an alright guy, but it's like sometimes like, man, dude, I got to do things. You got to quit this screwing around you do so much.
Yeah.
Because he's the boss. We can do. Tell him no. And stuff. And that was one of our biggest complaints. When me and Rick did thing there, he drove us crazy. We had gotten so many different people there. And when you get good one, they would end up, something would happen to the jerks that worked there. They would end up pissing them off and they'd quit. Stuff that used to get tiring. When we would get a good one every here and there that was working out, they'd end up quitting because of one reason or another. Back then we had so many jerks that worked there. They just immature, just jerk. It's hard to explain.
Yeah.
With me and Rick, we just stuck together. That was the best thing to do. We just stuck together. We break together, stayed away from everybody else when we could, things like that. It wasn't bad. That's what I loved working with them for. I'll tell you what, son, there's a story, a camping one. Now, this is a good one. I think when we come back from break, after this commercial, I want to tell you about the time me and Rick went camping with this guy that got switched to our department, that he was already employed and drove forklift for a different department that got switched to ours. I'll tell you all about it, and I'll tell you the real story behind it.
All right.
We'll be right back.
Rello Radio Show, Monday nights at 7 p.m. Central Time. DJ CO1.
Welcome back, and we're gonna have Dad tell us the story about him and Rick on their camping trip. So, how's it go?
All right, son. On to get to the camping trip, what it was a guy that worked in a different department ended up getting transferred to ours for one reason or another. I forget why, but he worked with us, and he was an all right worker, but it was more we started talking with the guy. It so happened that he'd asked us, hey, you guys want to go on a camping trip? And it's kind of out of the blue for him to ask, but we're both like, well, yeah, well, hell, why not? We had asked him what date and everything he wanted to go, or what the deal was,
Yeah.
He's like, well, I'll look it up tonight or whatever, and then I'll let you guys know tomorrow. So we're both like, okay, that's not a problem whatsoever. We'll wait and see. So me and Rick we start talking, and I'm like, so you really want to go? And he's like, yeah, what the hell, man? Go floating and shit and camping. Why not?
Yeah.
So that's cool. All right, so the next day, he comes in, and he's like, okay, it's this much. You got to reserve a site and everything. okay. So, and he said, I already took care of that. Here's what you have to pay. Here's what you had to pay. Here's what you had to pay. All right, so we give him the money. No big deal. You know, pay our share. And so time comes up, and we go on this trip. And we go to pick the guy up, me and Rick. We're there at his house, and there's like all these people there, in and out, and I'm like, what in the hell? And he's trying to talk big around us and his wife and whatnot. And I'm just like, man, let's go, dude. We got beer in the truck. We're ready to go. You know, me and Rick, you know, we're two beer drinking fools. We're ready to do this. So finally we get this pool ready to go. And we go. We take off. We're heading down. We get to the place, and the campground. We check in. They tell us pick a spot over there or whatever.
Yeah.
We find our spot, and we set up tents. You know, me and Rick, we just brought a 2-man tent each and everything. Pretty much everybody had their own 2-man tents.
Yeah.
As we're setting them up, like throws his stuff out, his tent and everything, and his poles, and then he walks off. Me and
Acting
Rick,
like you're gonna set it up?
no, just walks off like
Oh,
like
okay.
he's gonna go for a walk. And me and Rick are putting our tents together. I look at Rick and I'm like, the hell, man, he ain't gonna put his tent up, man. He's bummer for him, you know.
Yeah.
I was like, give me a beer. So me and Rick pop a beer, and I fire up a joint. Rick's like, well, I ain't driving, I ain't going nowhere, I'm good. So he decided he gonna take a hit or two. So he did. He didn't smoke too much. He just, I think 2 hits is all he took. But we're sitting there, and he's gone. His tent's laying out. You know, all he's got to do is slide the poles in. It's a simple throw buck, but it's still sitting there. And I'm like, where the hell is this guy at? You know, we thought maybe he forgot something and went to walk up to get it, because we weren't real far from where the store and you check in is at. You know, we thought maybe he walked up to it. We didn't know. And he comes back, and he starts talking about these people that work in the office at the place me and Rick used to work at. And I'm looking at Rick like, what the hell's he talking about? Why the hell are all them people here? You know, and he's naming off, there got to be 6, 7, 8 office people.
Yeah.
Camping together, their spouses, friends, whatever, you know, however their lifestyle is. They're all together, friends and whatnot. And me and Rick are like, what in the hell's going on? And I forget how he found out. I don't know if he went walking to the bathroom and had one of them or something, and they ended up bullshitting at the shitter or what.
Yeah.
But when he came back, he pulled me to the side. Me and him were drinking, and the dude that we were there with, he had like 3 beers, and he was a little wobbly. He ended up going to bed.
Yeah.
This guy couldn't handle nothing. But he's ended up going to bed, and me and Rick walked over to the edge by the little gravel road there, away from him. You know, good distance to talk. And Rick's like, you ain't gonna believe this. I'm like, what? He goes, this is the weekend that the office people said they do this every year and go to this place and they go floating. They get the boat tubes. It's a rafts. I'm sorry, the rafts.
Yeah.
And they raft down the river every year. This is their thing. They've been doing it for like 3 or 4 years now. This is like 4th year or something, he said, maybe 5th. And I'm like, well, why are we here?
Yeah.
You know, what the hell's going on? You know, he's all running over to them, and he goes, you ain't gonna believe this. They didn't invite him. He invited himself basically by come to find out what we put together was that he talked to him, you know, because he was buddies with him and whatnot, so he thought.
Yeah.
But he's not invited to go with him. But they, I guess, tell him about it, and he takes all this information. He knows what day they're going, everything, and he knows they're doing the morning one.
Yeah.
So, you know, an early one or whatever, you know, and everything. He basically mimicked their itinerary for the next day.
So he could do it.
Yeah, because I think we left on a Friday night. We set up that Friday night, and Saturday we were going to go rafting down the river, and then Sunday we will go home, get up and clean up and go home. You know, it's still Friday night. We're talking, and I'm like, this motherfucker suckered us, basically, into going to tag along on these people's trip. Are you shitting me? All right, man.
Holy shit.
And he's like, that's what it's got to be. So we're like, all right, fuck, you know. So we have a beer and we go to bed. We get up the next morning, me and Rick, you know, we're kind of yahooing. The dude's up already.
Yeah.
And I think he actually, when me and Rick actually got up and we started drinking a beer, I think he was just either coming back from the bathroom or coming back from those people's campsite, because he somehow Ringo didn't get close to them.
Yeah.
I mean, this is getting, you'll find out how weird this gets. This is just starting to show itself.
Yeah.
So we get up, we eat a little bit of breakfast. I remember eating breakfast, and I'm looking at Rick like, all right, man, let's get the cooler filled. We got this big old cooler, so we filled with one 30-pack of Busch beer.
Yeah.
Then we got another 30-pack that won't fit in the cooler, so we take along. The 30-pack that was in there first, we'd been drinking on a little bit of it the night before, put in the cooler, so it wasn't a full 30. I shouldn't say that, but so it was just less than a full 30. But as we go up to wait to get on the bus that takes you to get to your raft, you know, we drive up and park. We got the cooler. Me and Rick are sitting there, and they tell us we're in the third round to leave. Third bus party, I guess. I look over at Rick, I'm like, cool, third round. I was like, what one are they on, man? The second one or something? And Rick goes, they ain't started. That's what? They ain't even started loading buses? He goes, no, that bus is sitting there waiting. He goes, there's only one bus. Oh, hell no, man. We're going to be sitting here, and they're going to drive these people, drop them off, come back, pick up some more people, drop them off, come back. Okay. So, all right. Okay. It is what it is. And I guess that's how it works out for them to structure the bus load, so they're not all of a sudden in this huge collaborative of people or boats leaving at the same time, right?
Yeah.
So, okay, I get it. We're waiting, and me and Rick sit on the cooler, and we start popping beers, and it's got to be maybe 8:30 in the morning. We've been out probably since 6 or so. So it's about 8:30, me and him, we start drinking beers. We get maybe 2-3 beers down, and here comes the bus, finally, for us. We get on it, we get in our boat. They give us this potato sack, this huge potato sack thing to throw your cans in.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, the guy hands it to Rick. Rick looks at him. He goes, I won't need more than one, dude. And he looked at Rick like, well, you got a cooler and a 30-pack. How many, you know? And he ain't realizing that cooler's full, plus this 30-pack. We got enough beer to flow a boat. And that's just for me and Rick. The guy we're with, he brings a 12-pack of Bud Light. So we get a boat in the river, and we're going along, having a pretty good old time talking and stuff. And we're just boating along, you know, having a good old time. And we hear, you know, be careful about trying to smoke pot on the river, you know, because the rangers are up in the woods. Okay, you know, and the dude up front, he's kind of a jackass, so I didn't say nothing to him. I brought one in anyway. And Rick already knows me. He knows I'm going to. So we're going about 2 hours into this. Me and Rick are drinking, and I'm looking at him, and I'm like, you know what? We better stop for lunch here soon, man. Get something in our stomach, and then we can really start drinking. It's like, all right. So we pull over, and we have sandwiches. We eat those. I go up in the woods, smoke my joint and shit, scouting around for the po-po. Yeah. looking for them, you know, and don't see nothing nice. I come down, and I guess for some reason, the one I brought, I must have brought a little bit bigger than I intended, because I was really, really high at this point.
Oh, man.
And I jump in the boat, and we're going. We're starting to drink. We're having a good time. And about 45 minutes later, now I'm starting to have the time of my life, and hooting and hollering, and you're seeing people over to the sides, stop for lunches, and swim and whatnot, and swing off ropes if there's one in that area. And we're, you know, doing the same too. But as we're going along, I'm jumping out. I jump out of the boat doing backflips, all kinds of stuff, because you could sit on the edges. It's that raft. Everything is air soft, you know, so it's nice. It's not like a canoe. I hate canoes. I love the rafts. But we're going, me and Rick, we're cutting lip, having the time of our lives, checking out the girls and the bikinis and all the good stuff that goes with life and stuff. And we're like, this, you know, he hasn't drank yet. And I'm looking at Rick like, what the hell is this dude's problem? I said, he ain't drinking. And he's like, it looks like, you know, when we want to stop, it's almost irritating him. You know, want to either swim, or we want to, I don't know, maybe there's a bunch of girls and a bunch of people, and we want to kind of be looky loos or something, you know. Because, you know, we're in our shit. I was in my late 30s at the time, so, you know, I'm just eyeballs everywhere, you know, young guy still.
I think I got an idea why he's pissed.
And, well, he's just like, what the hell's the problem? And I'm looking at Rick like, man, what's this guy problem with the fucking constantly wanting us to keep going type deal, like we're on a race.
Yeah.
Then finally, we're going along, and all of a sudden, he's like, man, we got to pull over there. And we're like, dude, why don't we go up a little farther? It looks like there's a rope swing. He said, no, man, over here. We pulled over, and I looked, and Rick's like, that motherfucker. Both of us at the same time. We finally caught up to the fucking office people.
Yep, that's what
I
was
like, you rotten, dirty motherfucker.
That's what I'm saying.
Because the office people that we worked with, they were nice to us. They didn't like me and Rick at all. We were dirt legs. We worked on the floor of the building. You know, we weren't office people.
Yeah.
There was at this company there was a real decisive between the floor workers and the office workers. There was they just thought we were a bunch of dumb country bumpkin type people. You know, they beneath them.
Shit,
Not
what a
knowing
lucky
if
dude.
we have college degrees or not, just because we're not in the office. This is
Yeah.
how it worked, right? And stuff. So me and Rick are like, and we like one dude, we knew he was an asshole, you know, at work, and he had a little authority in his area. We didn't work with him or in his area or nothing, but he had a reputation in the building for being an asshole.
Yeah.
And I will give it to this guy. He was an asshole out of the building. On that, he was no different than what he was like at work. And I was like, well, at least I give it to this guy. He's a jerk.
He's consistent.
Yeah, and he's not fake. I'll give it to him. At least the guy's real. He's a jackass. He's just if you ain't a friend of his, you screw you, dude. Go get out of my face. You're beneath me. Type dude. Thought he was better than everybody else. Type guy, you know. He was the one acting like everybody wants to be around him for the party type deal. Like he's the master of ceremonies, I guess is what you consider it. And so, but he was just an asshole in the long run. But he runs over to these people, right? Me and Rick are looking at this fool. He's over there up in the mix of them, talking and mingling and drinking with them. And they had like Jello shots. He's doing that with them. And me and Rick are over by the boat, just sitting on the edge with our feet in the water. And one of the girls that were with them, it wasn't nobody's wife. It was like a friend of one of the office people's wife.
Yeah.
And she come over and she was polite to us. Hey, how you doing? Blah, blah. And we were like, well, you know, told her. Basically, we were like, we kind of got shanghaied, it, so to speak, into a trip that we were lied to on.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh. And I said, well, you all have this plan. We don't know nothing about this. We don't associate with office people and stuff. And he, I guess, does and kisses all their ass. Because he was real known for going in the office and hanging out a lot. Kissing a lot of ass, kissing up to the owner of the companies and stuff like that, or not the owners, but you know, the head guys or whatever.
The guy that's trying to be liked by everyone.
Yeah, he instead of working, and it was real weird how they never questioned why he never
was never
doing his job, but he's up in here talking with you, hanging out with you. He's my buddy. That's my buddy. I know him. I know that. And that irritated me and Rick too at a point with the guy, especially Trip was the icing on the cake with this asshole.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But we're standing there and you know, she ends it with us and walks away. Me and Rick, we're like, so we're gonna spend the fucking time like a fucking puppy following these people. I said, I bet you any goddamn money. I said, if we try to go ahead and power through or go ahead and say, hey man, come on, time to go, and they're not leaving right now,
he's gonna pitch fit.
Yeah, he gonna flip the fuck out. He ain't gonna be ready. And Rick's like, fuck this. He pushed the raft out in the river. Jumped in. I jumped in and started, hey, come on, man. And he pretty much, I don't know if Rick had a look on his face to him because I'm behind Rick in the boat. Rick was in the middle, but he must have shot him a look like, fuck you. You stand there and hope they get me a ride. You know what I mean? Because we're maybe just in the halfway point. No. Yes. Just at the halfway point and starting to go over it of the float trip.
Yeah.
And he gets in. We're going down. We may get around a bend, and then they started coming because they had this big old speaker that was in a tube that floated. It was a waterproof big old loud speaker, and started hearing that down in the distance, and that's how he knew how to find them after that, because they had that loudspeaker and everything. He tried to slow up the boat to let them catch up. All kinds of shit. And we seen all kinds of shit we wanted to do, and this asshole's all trying to hang out with these guys.
Yeah.
And finally, he starts to drink. After there, starts drinking the beer. I guess whatever he drank with them at that little stop we just were at.
Yeah.
Kicked in for him. So he starts drinking beer. And as we're going down, we're pulling over here and there, and they're just as they are. And when we pull over, they pull over basically behind us in a way. It was just weird. It was just spots to pull over at.
Yeah.
Because you could tell people were starting to really get, at this point in the trip, the booze is hitting people. Me and Rick, we're doing good. We can handle it. We're, at this point, as we like to call, we're pretty much professionals. You know, I mean, we can hold our booze very well. And we get to this last pullover and stuff, and he's trash. The guy up front is trash. Rick's looking at him like, this guy had a 12-pack. And he drank it within 3.5, 4 hours.
Yeah.
And he said he didn't even drink the full 12, I think. I think he said he only drank like 9 beers.
Oh, God.
But spilt 2, like that. But he had a shot or 2 of Jello shots. All minor drinks. He didn't have nothing heavy like whiskeys or nothing.
Yeah.
But he was just a lightweight type asshole. I remember he just kept saying stupid shit on the trip. Just, you could tell he just so much wanted to be with them. You know, I mean, it was like, he was pissing me and Rick off. And then at the end of it, we pulled over, we got the boat pulled up, and they're going to come and take it from us here shortly. We're standing around talking, waiting for the bus to show up. He's stumbling around trying to catch up with them because they're pulled over, got their stuff out, getting their things together.
Yeah.
You know, and these people are trying to get their shit together. You know, you got 1 or 2 guys out there, you know, drinking beer and still kafawing and having the time of their lives. But most of the people were packing their crap up, right?
Yeah.
We got me and Rick got the cooler together. We grabbed the bags out to throw away. We took care of all that, and we're standing there. And all of a sudden, we're talking with these people that had been on the trip too and stuff. They just happened to be standing there and started talking with us about something. We're talking with. Next thing I know, Rick looks at it and goes, this motherfucker. He wades out into the river, and the guy we're with is face down in the river, floating, passed out cold into the river.
Of course he
He'd
is.
walked up to them, and I guess the guys that were still didn't have no responsibility guys and shit. They were still drinking. I guess they gave him another Jello shot or something like that, or Fruity Tooty drinks they make, and he fucking passed out in the river. And if it wasn't for Rick, he would have drowned. Rick grabbed him and dragged him out, and he started mumbling some shit. Rick threw him in the boat and told him, you get back out of that fucking boat, I'll kick your ass, dude. You're all over the place.
Goddamn.
So we kept him in the fucking boat for a while, until the bus showed up, and then we grabbed his ass out and brought him up on the bus. Oh, man. We get back to the campsite, and this guy, he gets a second wind, goes over to their campsite, and he's gone maybe an hour and a half, and this girl comes over from over there. I don't remember really who she was, but she come over and she said something to me and Rick, and Rick was bombed up. He's like, I'm going to bed, man. And I was like, all right, Rick. And he said something about the guy that was with us. And I was like, all right, well, I was like, well, I'll go see what the hell's going on. I walked over there. He's just drunk, hitting on girls.
Oh, God.
Making an ass out of himself. And one of the guys, hey, man, can you get him out of here? You know, and I'm like, can I get him out of here? What are you talking about? And I was like, he's your buddy, dude. I said, you guys are the ones that are friends with him, not, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. Get him out of here. What, you don't like that you got him drunk and he's all being noxious like you all? Yeah, they didn't like that. And a couple of them got mouthy, and I said, listen, man, you're an office worker. I'm not, dude. I physical labor. Come on. They didn't want nothing. They ended up just forcing me to get him out of there. Bitching enough. So I grabbed him up and dragged him over to his tent, threw him in it and shit. We got up the next day, and man, that ride, you could see me and Rick, we were salty as hell that night. You could, or that morning, the ride out of there, you could just tell. As soon as we got our chance, we broke away from him and took on off our, the head on home and stuff.
Yeah.
Me and him had talked and stuff, and Rick was like, I cannot believe that this guy is so inept that he would go and do that. He goes, I guarantee you at work we'll say we're going back on a Monday, the following Tuesday, he goes, the whole place, if not by the end of the workday Monday, is going to be talking about how we hoarding in on the office's
Camping trip.
Yeah. And shit, and I was like, man, probably right. But in reality, the only ones that got made fun of was him.
Yeah.
They talked a little shit to their other buddies at the office at Dingo on a trip, and they were cutting up on him behind his back and stuff. thank God he ended up getting himself fired.
I mean, if
For
it wasn't
some
for that trip, I mean, something else.
Shit. Yeah, he did.
Sounds like him.
Well, no, he did something at work and got himself fired. He did something stupid. So thank God me and Rick loved that. Fucking retard. You know, what are you doing? You know, that's
Yeah.
stupid. You know, that was the one thing. Me and Rick, we didn't care what people thought about us there, but they knew not to mess with us. They knew that if they wanted something, you better come out and be very, very polite and pretty much kiss our ass. Because a lot of office workers would come out and want some that we may had in stock for some reason, or they may want this item because we had extra in stock, you know, and we can go get it for them and everything. You know, it's like you want to be polite to us when you want something, but then turn your back and act like jerks to us. You're going to find out we're not the ones you want to mess with.
Sure sounds like it. I don't know how you dealt with that dude the entire trip, though. I mean, how did you not leave him the first time? Just be like, screw you, find your own way around.
Because the way me and Rick are is we can't do that to him. We got to work with this guy too. There could be recourses in our employment for it at that point in time. But Rick really, it irritated us that we were lied to.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And the fact that it's the people that were there were not the type of people me and him would wanted to associate with.
Yeah.
They weren't very nice to us. They were treated us as we were beneath them. Why would we want to be around them?
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're not the greatest people in the world, but God damn it, we don't go around just mistreating everybody. You know, we give you a shot, and if you're wrong to us, then we'll be wrong to you. But at least we're fair.
Yeah, it's only karma.
Exactly. You know. I mean, I had a good time being with Rick. We had a good time.
Well, that's
because
good.
we kind of blocked him out because he was
tuned him out and did your own thing.
Yeah, because he was so zoned on looking for them continuously. Me and Rick basically were bullshitting the whole time, drinking beer, doing things, telling jokes, whatever, watching the scenes and stuff. It was almost as just
As
he
if
was
he
was
wasn't there.
tagging along with me and Rick in a way. It pissed me off that this guy had an alternative motive for everything and didn't tell us and was lying to us about it. And because I wouldn't have been okay with that. I would have said, nah, man, that's not for me. Thank you, but I think I don't want to go, you know, and stuff. And for Rick, that got to him too. You ask him, he'll tell you flat out, man. That was one trip that he will never forget.
Oh yeah, definitely. I wouldn't either.
There was points in our employment with him before he got himself fired that he had gotten so mad at the guy because the guy kind of knew when we got back. I don't know if Rick had said something to him, or I don't know exactly, but he kind of started pulling away from me and Rick.
Yeah.
And stuff. He kind of knew we were fucking mad at him. And then Rick started getting really pissed with him all the time. And every time I turned around, he was cussing him all the time. Just the guy was lazy and you know, wouldn't work. He was getting to the point where Rick was like, this guy is such a worthless sack of crap. He was like, I should have let him drown. I should have let him go on down the river. And I'm like, dude, I get it, but man, that you can't be like that, though, man. I mean, you know, maybe karma get his ass. And this is before he got fired. And I was like, maybe karma get his ass. And he was like, man, one can only hope.
Yeah.
And stuff, you know, because the guy was a jerk. He acted like he was nice to us, but he did a lot of running his mouth behind our backs. That was a big thing that after he got fired, people were telling us a lot of stuff. It's amazing how when somebody loses their job that all of a sudden you find out how much they really cared about certain people because the other ones just start spilling the beans on them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he was a sad sack and stuff. And that's where Rick drew the line with him. He let him hang many a times at work. Oh, I need help. No, we both know better than that. And Rick's like, I ain't going. You can go, man, but I'm not. You know, it may not seem like that's right, but trust me, he was in no dire need of help at all. He was just lazy. The minute you pulled up and stuff, he would have pulled off. As you started helping, he'd have took off. He did that. Oh, here's a story to get you. Oh my God. Now this one, I thought Rick Wood was going to literally strangle him off. I ain't kidding you. I'm not close. They're dealing with this long, big product, all right? And it's a big truck to get unloaded, and it's an outside truck, so you unload from the side. It's a flatbed's what they call it. He goes out to give him a hand for a minute to get something off, to help him get out or something like that. Well, he does it, and then Rick goes to pick up helps him get out of a hole. That's what it was. He got stuck in a hole, gets him out of the hole, and then Rick goes up and picks up the bunk from him and moves to put it away. He drives off and goes inside, leaves Rick with the truck. Rick didn't go out to unload the truck. Rick went to go get him out of the hole he got stuck in, trying to unload that truck.
Yeah.
And then drives off and leaves him to unload the whole truck. And it was starting to rain a little.
Oh, man.
So the product stayed outside anyway, so it wasn't a big deal there. But we didn't have, on the forklifts at that time, we didn't have nothing to cover it. We didn't wrap it or put cardboard on top of them at that time because, he was just didn't at the moment.
Yeah.
And he started getting rained on. But he got the truck done. And for me and him, we could unload trucks like nobody's business like that back then. If it was a flatbed, we could rip them off and get them unloaded no time, send them on their way.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what he did. He got them unloaded fairly quick, but he comes in soaked. And this guy's all sitting up at the back door where he worked out of he had an area where he loaded out certain things out to a truck. Well, he was sitting back there, just sitting in a chair, chilling, all like nothing, no big deal. Rick come up. I'd seen him coming by me. I'd flagging him, hey, what's going on? I'm like, what the hell? You're all wet. And he screwed that motherfucker. Boom. He threw the thing into gear again, takes off. I don't know if he went and found him or not, but I guarantee you this much, the dude took off. Ended up going crying that he wasn't feeling too good that day.
Of
Took
course he
off.
wasn't.
Yeah, he left. I turned around and the guy was gone. Yeah, he left for the day. Because it was early. It had to have been maybe 10 o'clock in the morning, 9 o'clock, probably 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
So here's Rick soaking wet, got to be there for a bunch more hours.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy's just sitting, chilling up in the dry area.
All high and mighty.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if he went back there and said that. I don't remember anymore, but I guarantee you this. I never seen the guy come around him unless he absolutely had to until he got fired. Yep. I tell you, working with Rick was probably the best times that I had at a job ever. I'll say that. Working with him was one hell of an adventure. Some of the things we did, which I won't say because I don't want to get us both in some serious trouble.
Yeah.
With that, I think I'll give a big shout out to my buddy Rick. Love you, man. And Son and me are going to go ahead and end this episode. So this is Dad.
And this is Son, and this has been the Coffee Bar Stories.
Thank you for listening. This is Dad.
And Son on the Coffee Bar Stories.
A DTZ Entertainment presentation.
Check in every 2 weeks for a new episode. All music was brought to you today by Kevin MacLeod.